and standards. My name is Faig Mutallimov. I am Head of Environmental Policy Department at the Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources of Azerbaijan, and also a member of the National Standardization Committee on Ecology. I'm honored to guide today's session, and we are here joined by an exceptional guest, Mr. Desforges, if I correct?
Yes, Deforges.
Yeah,
right.
Deforges. So, Mr. Deforges is Vice President, Energy Directorate, Measurement Canada, Innovation, Science and Economic Development of Canada, and the Chair of the ISO/TS Subcommittee on Greenhouse Gas and Climate Change Management and related activities, which develops greenhouse gas emissions, carbon footprint standards, and net zero emissions. Welcome, Mr. Deforges.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. In our session, we will discuss and deep dive in the climate change issue and the role of the standards that play in this, because as you know, and as we gathered here in the COP29, there are discussions in different directions. One of them is the transparency, another is the emission reductions, the goals that the countries take in this regard, and to achieve all of this, we should have the standards that will guide us, because otherwise the different approach may be applied which will not reach out to the transparency. And this transparency, I think that in our last couple of years is more in agenda, and this by the end of this year the parties will submit their BTRs first time. That will also hopefully unlock the additional financing and bring clarity in this regard. So my question to you, Mr. Deforges, could you please share with us the main roles and goals of your subcommittee on greenhouse gas and climate change management and related activities, and how this subcommittee contributes to the climate change mitigation, and share your vision for the future development of standards in this area globally?
Thank you. Good question, and thank you for the introduction. I think you're setting the tone a little bit of the importance of standardization. In fact, yes, the standardization is extremely important when we are talking about the fight against climate change. And this committee, this particular committee where I'm part of, TC207, which is environmental management, and specifically the greenhouse gas and greenhouse gas and climate change standards are very important. They're providing tools for everybody, for governments, municipalities, any stakeholders who wants to use that to apply for to fight against climate change and greenhouse gases mitigation, and also adaptation. So, and the beauty of the standards it's because it's international participation and it's consensus based. So what you have once you develop a standard is something that is strong and something that is well accepted already throughout the world. So when you put that in your country, well, you're already a step ahead because you're meeting also the international requirement. So in terms of, in general, before going in more specific under the greenhouse gas, TC207 deals with all type of standards. It could be environmental management, auditing, labeling, which is all important, as well as life cycle assessment. For my committee, we're talking about a bit more here for COP29, and is the greenhouse gas, the one I'm managing, which developing standards to mitigate, helping mitigate greenhouse gas. Also, a big part of the standardization is on adaptation. You saw it everywhere here. Adaptation is front and center, and we'll talk about that a bit later this afternoon. So for when we develop standards, there's, in terms of mitigation, there are standards that quantify, report the GHG emissions. They look at the statement. We're also talking about the carbon footprint of products, another very key standard. So we also have a new standard that is being developed right now, which is a net zero, because the ultimate goal, and everybody's talking about it, is to achieve net zero. And we're starting the development of this standard right now based on an international working agreement that was put in place by ISO. So that's a huge undertaking that we are doing right now. And there's also a carbon, another standard on carbon neutrality. So as you can see, there's a big suite of standards under this committee that can help any organization, especially your country, because based on the information, you're starting to adhere to like 14001. So there's many other standards that can be applied by government, by organizations to help against climate change.
Thank you very much. Indeed, you touched on the net zero goal, because in previous scopes and as a result of the IPCC assessment, if we want to keep 1.5 aligned greenhouse gas emission reduction, we need to set the goal and achieve the net zero goal latest by 2050. And the guidance, the way to this goal is the standards that helps us. And Azerbaijan also joined, as you know, the convention and the Paris Agreement. We have also set our own goals that to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, and now we're working on as other countries, on the updating our NDC, making it more ambitious and the 1.5 aligned one, so that to support our the contribution to the greenhouse gas emission reductions. And also you touched a very interesting point from our point of view, because we have also been discussed about what is net zero, what is carbon neutrality. They are sounds similar, but indeed there is a difference, and these standards, I believe, that help countries and also the industry to better align their goals and the objectives in this regard. And also would like just to follow up, as you already said, and could you please more explain and about the standards and how they are directly connected and they serve the purposes of the UNFCCC and the Paris Agreement?
Again, it's extremely important, and that's why I'm here today. That's why so many members of my committee are participating in different sessions here at COP29. So, which is extremely important for us to know what's going on, because it's climate change, the policy, everything changes very rapidly. So we need we need to know all the decision, because this will impact, could impact our standardization, could impact the revisions of the standards, or it could push us to develop new standards to meet some new objectives. So all that again is through collaboration and discussion between the groups. So for me, for example, I had my old group 2 weeks ago in London, where we have a huge participation and we discuss some of the issues. And one of the things that we discuss is, yes, we will convene after COP29 and look at what will have been discussed and see what will be the best approach for the standardization and potential revision or new standards. And you're talking about the UNFCCC principles, and if you look at, I think it's a good linkage, but when I look at them, protecting the climate for the benefit of future generation, consideration for developing countries, cooperation between the parties for a lot of aspects of climate change, this is exactly part of the committee to develop the standards. For example, consideration for developing countries, we're always sending the invite to participate. Any countries basically can participate, developing countries, to be part and a member of the committee. And they have a voice like everybody else, and the decision and the discussion is always based on consensus. It's consensus based, and it's extremely rigorous to ensure that all voices are heard. So for us, yes, we are directly linked to the triple C. And same thing with when you look at the objective of the agreement to stabilization of greenhouse gases to prevent adverse effect and adaptation. Well, that's exactly what we are doing. So it's one of the only committees when you can tick all the marks that we are basically in line with everything that is done at COP 27. So 29. So we will continue. What we are doing is continuing to discuss, update the standards. There's already new standards. We were talking about mitigation. We're revising the key one, 14064-1-2, the 14067 in the product. So that's another one we're revising. So there's many standards that we are revising on top of new standards that are being developed right now.
Thank you very much. Indeed, these standards very important, and they are kind of guidance for especially for the industry. So I just follow-up question: how it is enforced in your country, application of these standards by the industries?
But the way it works, so ISO provides and develops standards that are voluntary.
Yeah.
So every country, when we're doing the development of the standards on a voluntary basis. Once a standard is developed, after that it's every country to apply it, and when I say every country, to adopt it. Sometimes they're adopting the standards nationally, but after it's every government, every organization to apply it and to decide on how it will be managed in their own policy, in their own environmental regulations. So that's how it works in every country.
Yeah, indeed. We also work, as I mentioned, I'm also a member of this National Technical Committee on Ecology. That's a kind of practice in Azerbaijan that the ministry or the government which leads the specific sector establishes kind of standards with the standardization institution, and adapting the standards to the international where needed, new ones where needed we upgrade them, and we have recently adopted the national strategy on them to improvement our standards. And on environment we have the yearly action plan where we follow this, and also just recently adopted a couple of the standards on the greenhouse gas emissions, MRV, and other inventory related emissions. And also when I was saying about enforcement, because we also in parallel exploring the policies that how we can enforce the industry to apply this, especially environmental management system standards, to make them, because we have separate regulation, of course, they are obliged to follow, but this standards also is a different approach and different scenario, so that we also, because this application of this standards is by itself brings the resource efficiency, cleaner production, and all this the system from not only it's about the releasing, it's the kind of the culture that we bring in the industry. So what you're talking about here is like the standard on environmental management, which is let's say, for example, 14001, which is the key standard, I would say, for TC207, the most important standard to set the base on all type of management. So what it does, it's really an important standard to add all the others after, because it develop a process in your business, in your organization. Any business could be an industry, could be the government, a municipality, where you put all the steps to ensure that there is an environmental sustainability that includes all types of criteria or requirements, and it's a way to really look at the resources, reduce waste,
water, manage better the energy, so use the resource a lot more in fact, efficiently. And it will often reduce costs for the organizations because it looks at, raising, like better using renewable energy, reduce environmental impact, reduce operational costs. So all this, after that, you can have the mitigation standard. But if you start with that with the industry, you're already on the good path to add all the other standards after that that I talked about a little bit earlier.
Yeah, indeed. We also running a lot on the awareness raising of the companies that to explain them the benefits, long-term, medium-term benefits of application of this ISO standards, especially on the environmental management systems. So in parallel, when the climate change agenda develops, you see that also this issue of criteria, it's not only about the standards, also there are different approaches, example, the ESG approach, the financial institution look for your the environmental impact, carbon footprint, and also in parallel, we're also running on and here also in COP29, one of the main topics is the carbon markets. And for having this emission trading system and other, for example, the alternative tax system and etc., you should have a solid MRV system at industrial base. So also it requires to have the solid methodology, standards, and etc., which I believe this stands in the core of all these processes. So, can you additionally explain how the companies experience or how the benefits the company get from these processes, especially on the MRV system application, which will lead our ultimate goal to achieve the climate change?
You see, what I was talking about, for example, the 14001, that's an MRV system. This is, well, not an MRV system, but it sets the table to arrive to a measurement, reporting, and verification system. So once you have that, you do have, the necessary base to, after that, implement some MRV system for the measurement, verification, and reporting that then you can use like 14064, 62, 63 to have a very good process for reporting your emissions, and it meets all the goals that you were talking about in terms of the footprint, the reduction of the carbon footprint, and all that. So all this for projects, for organizations, and you can even have an additional layer that ISO has, which is the accreditation. There's an element of accreditation for third standards when you have verifiers to, looking at the reporting for each of the business or the organizations, and you can have that accredited by a third party. So that's another element that brings a lot of credibility to what you have in your system. And as well as in the suite of the standards for MRV, you have the carbon footprint of product, which is very important and is good for companies who are developing products when they look at the life cycle assessment from the beginning to the end, from any type of anything that they use, and they look at the carbon footprint and the reporting of that. So that's another standard that looks specifically for projects, and that's another standard that we are revising right now, but we just started at the end of October to revise because things evolve, things change, and there's new priorities to include in the standards. So the carbon footprint is one, and of course, eventually you're going to have the, like I was saying, the net zero, which is going to be like another layer on top of all that will bring it. And there's a lot of discussion right now, a lot of participation internationally, because it will be the ultimate goal for this committee once you have achieved net zero.
Thank you very much. I think that we all the standardization points also serves as a kind of information labeling. You touched upon on the labeling issue because we should also inform the consumer about this product. We also in Azerbaijan started this processes, the labeling. We see that in the imported products, especially in the energy products, how it is labeled, and it's also the kind of give the chance for the consumer to choose there, because I remember that early this year in the United Nations Environment Assembly there were some resolution on the sustainable lifestyle. So that all the standards and this labeling issue also guides the people. So this is also very important.
And we have a big, it's not part of my subcommittee because it's mitigation and adaptation. However, under the Environmental Management Technical Committee, there's a huge subcommittee that deals specifically with labeling, ensuring that the labels, there's a lot of criteria, ensuring that the labels will be, when you create a label that is exactly meeting the requirements, so to avoid greenwashing, basically, that can people put any type of labeling anywhere. So there's some criteria on this that can be used again by any organizations that wish to do so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Desforges, for your participating, and I think now we can open the floor for the questions from our audience to hear from you. If any questions to Mr. Desforges or even me, so on ISO standards.
Thank you very much.
So I think we have a question from audience.
Yeah, hello, Stephen George.
Yeah.
Wonderful, can you hear me? Excellent. Thank you very much for the presentation. So I'm Stephen George, I'm from the European Space Agency, and I was wondering if there were any standards around data collection or data quality on bottom-up or top-down approaches, because we fly satellites and we can monitor inventories from space in some way. And even within my organization, we're trying to look at standardizing a little bit and looking very broad across our system of systems to make sure that we are, producing quality data that meets standards in these things.
There's probably not a standard as per se on data quality. However, when you look at all these standards, that could be greenhouse gas, carbon footprint, everything, there's always a very important section about the data and how it should be used or gathered. So data collection, I completely agree, because if you have bad data when you look at your standard, what you're going to have at the end is it's going to be poor or not really. So every standard, including the one that they are looking at right now, because I was part of the committee, the net zero, there's a big discussion about the data gathering, and how to ensure that the data is valid and is accurate.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much. And any other questions? Here we have one.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. I have a question, in fact, for you, the moderator. So sometimes in ISO technical committee, we can see very limited export from some countries like Azerbaijan or some. So I wonder what kind of support or resources ISO can help to support your national standards body to send more export to join such kind of climate mitigation standard or other standard. So what kind of things they can help you? I just wonder. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that our standardization institution is the main body for the managing and organizing this standardization, and we have, as I mentioned, in the government we have different such a technical committees, and I believe it's not only about the standardization institution, and we as a ministries of environment and other line agriculture ministry should also be active in this regard. And as I mentioned, we have recently adopted the national program on this and being more active in these processes, so that I believe that in coming the sessions and in coming the meetings we will be more active, because we understand it's not, I think, all about the climate change, but in general the standardization, and we have also a new approach on the technical regulations and etc. So we as Azerbaijan, we built this the part I can say that from the scratch, and want to make it solid, and I believe that in the coming the sessions will be, but also I think the mutual cooperation and support also from ISO will be beneficial also for us. Thank you very much. Any other questions? We have left just 4 minutes. One question.
Thank you very much. I have no questions. First of all, on behalf of these participants, to you, to both, thank you. And it is very important standard, and I guess standard pavilion is better than other pavilions. I every day participate 4 or 5 pavilion, and I guess all these themes very actual because about global climate. I remember well, if my memory doesn't fail me, 60 years ago, last center, first incidence was in South Africa. Then 1972, all scientific gathered in Stockholm in 1972. Then after 20 years and plus 20 Rio, a lot of organization was busy with this theme. Thanks United Nations from 1995 years to today organized COP. It's a pity 4 days passed and will continue. I wish you to everyone always, all this country, always peace, never war. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I would like to thank Mr. Desforges for your insightful thoughts, and also our audience for being us. So I think we understand that how the standards and science is important, and the data, so that we can pursue our policies on the science-based and data-driven approach. So thank you once again all, and I think we will have left the survey, so our audience can assess how was our today's session through this survey on the screen. It will appear shortly, so you can provide your comments for us to make it better. So please use this survey and provide your thoughts on this session. Thank you very much.